It's so sad when we lose people from Harvard, MIT, from the greatest schools and lesser schools that are phenomenal schools also. And what I wanted to do, and I would have done this, but then we had to solve the COVID problem because that came in and, sort of dominated for a little while, as you perhaps know. But what I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college. I think you should get automatically, as part of your diploma, a green card to be able to stay in this country. And that includes junior colleges too. Anybody graduates from a college, you go in there for 2 years or 4 years. If you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from a college, you should be able to stay in this country. And you know more stories than I do, but I know of stories where people graduated from a top college or from a college and they desperately wanted to stay here. They had a plan for a company, a concept, and they can't. They go back to India, they go back to China, they do the same basic company in those places, and they become multi-billionaires employing thousands and thousands of people, and it could have been done here. And a bigger example is you need a pool of people to work for your companies. You have great companies, and they have to be smart people. Not everybody can be less than smart. You need brilliant people. And we force the brilliant people, the people that graduate from college, the people that are number one in their class from the best colleges. You have to be able to recruit these people and keep the people. It was such a big deal. Somebody graduates at the top of the class. They can't even make a deal with the company because they don't think they're going to be able to stay in the country. That is going to end on day one.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think we all wholeheartedly agree with that.
I don't believe him when he says that. I mean, it would be nice, but I don't believe him. The caption says, Trump gets it. Donald Trump, if you graduate from a U.S. college, 2-year, 4-year, or doctoral, you should automatically get green card to stay. Too often, talented grads are forced to leave and start billion-dollar companies in India or China instead of here. So yeah, I mean, it will be great, I think, but he's gonna have an uphill battle. You know, the immigration arguments that people have, so if a person overstays their visa, that's an illegal immigrant, okay? And they're breaking the law, right? So then that's one of the arguments that people have about the immigration. The other one has to do with culture. People aren't integrated properly into the society, if you will, and they're bringing their culture, and Americans are losing their culture to immigrants' culture and stuff like that. So Trump will have to go up against those sentiments to accomplish this, and I think that would be a real struggle. Let's read some tweet replies. It says, 2-year college diploma for a green card. Has America learned nothing from what has been happening in Canada? See, there it goes. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so in Europe, they're saying the same thing, the whole Brexit, and they were all like, all these immigrants are coming over here and they're taking over our country, and they're bringing their culture or whatever. And those people weren't illegal immigrants; those were legal immigrants. So the immigrant argument isn't just about illegal immigrants. You know what I mean? It's immigrants, period. Okay, people have a problem with immigrants, period. Over a certain amount. Like, it's okay as long as it's a small amount, and they can't really just build whole ass communities and large swaths of the city or whatever, so it'll be a numbers issue at the very least. So if Trump is saying anybody who graduates with a 2-year, 4-year, or master's or doctorate degree, this would be a large numbers of people, right? And then the people will keep on coming, especially if they know they could just get a degree. A lot of them go to school anyways. If they could just go to school and then they could just get their green card that way, then what will those numbers look like with the number of immigrants that will become, basically legal? And would the government have the authority to like revoke that green card for any reason? Will they be able to hold that over the head of these people? You know, to get them to force them to like work for a job or whatever? Will it be tied to their job, and will their employer be able to be like, I'll get you shipped back if you don't act right, or whatever, if you don't accept the pay that I want you to pay, if you don't come in on a weekend, on a holiday, on your day off, on your birthday, then I'm gonna send you back to your country that you came from. Tweet reply says, you know what will happen if these policies follow their natural progression? From my direct experience, applying for universities abroad from India, drum roll, the universities line up for you because they are getting higher tuition from foreign students than from the local population. There's a foreign education prep industry in India motivated by immense profits, not a bad thing, but see what happens down the line, which is an expert in getting mediocre but rich Indian kids in foreign universities. These prep companies write shining SOPs for these aspiring students, conjure field specific and volunteer community experience for the students, experiences which the students actually don't have, often by making them do nominal things and then presenting those nominal things as exemplary achievements with evidential certificates. Because of the sheer volume of population in India, the number of these students can be very high. And if you bring green card into the equation, all hell will break loose in India to get admission to 2, 4, or doctorate degrees in the US. And consequently, what the US will get mostly will be mediocre caliber foreign students who will be qualified for a green card. So yeah, I mean, it sounds good on the surface, but for one, I don't believe him. And for two, I don't think he'll be able to pull it off, even if he's sincere. He's gonna get a lot of pushback. Let me see. Another post reply says, but they have to complete school, make the green card based on merit of success, graduating with honor and not squeezing by, have a green card test showing they love the United States too. Graduating with a C and a worthless degree won't cut it. You know what they tell me? They told me when I started college, they said C's get degrees. Another text reply says, there will be hordes who will qualify after graduating with honor and yet have no real ingenuity. Ask Elon or Bill Gates, who did not rely on graduation degrees. I don't really get what that person is saying. I agree. Like, your grades don't really, they do to a certain extent, but they show that you can follow directions really, really well. That doesn't mean that you're actually creative or whatever. So like a student that's getting like lower scores doesn't mean that they're not as intelligent or creative or have ingenuity. It could just mean they had other stuff going on in their life at the same time while they were going to school. The world is more nuanced and complicated than just that, going by like a score and having that determine whether a person is, has intelligence or whatever. Just accomplishing the degree is a feat. That's the reason why they give you, they give you stuff for it. It's an accomplishment. It's something you finish. A lot of people won't be able to do that. Let me read this. It says Donald Trump on H1B visas March 3rd, 2016. Megyn Kelly asked about highly skilled immigration. The H1B program is neither high skilled nor immigration. These are temporary foreign workers imported from abroad for explicit purposes of substituting for American workers at lower pay. I remain totally committed to eliminating rampant, widespread H1B abuse and ending outrageous practices such as those that occurred in Disney and Florida when Americans were forced to train their foreign replacements. It will end forever the use of H1B as a cheap labor program and institute an absolute requirement to hire American workers first for every visa and immigration program, no exceptions. So yeah, I believe that's 100% true. The thing about them, it's a way to exploit these people. Like the whole immigration argument overall is related to exploiting people's labor. Okay, so if they don't have legal status, then you can screw over them and they have no recourse, right? You can just call ICE. You can let them work the whole season. At the end of the season, they're trying to get paid, and you can just call ICE and get them deported. What are they going to do? You got that labor out of them. You know, the person came over on the H1B visa to work for your company, and you're like, okay, you know, we pay other people this amount, but we're going to pay you this amount, which is substantially less than them, because you're over here with an H1B visa and it's tied to this job. And, you know, if you don't want to take this money, then go screw yourself and go back to the country that you came from. You know, this type of thing, it has a downward pressure on wages for everyone. Okay. So that's the reason why workers should have solidarity with each other, regardless of, you know, their country's origin or whatever. Because if you can have an upward pressure on the wages of these immigrants, or you can get their status to the point where they have like, they have some sort of autonomy or whatever, then the wages of American workers, United States workers will also rise. So, you know, keeping us divided, keeping us pointing fingers, you know, is how they are able to. That's how these people get these big bonuses. Okay, that's how they get their big salaries. That's how they're able to give their shareholders, you know, a dividend this quarter. You know, is stuff like this, and it goes across the board, and it's through all industries, small corporations to large ones. Everyone benefits. You know, if I used to be a manager, and the parameter that you had the most the room to affect the bottom line was labor. Okay, if you're selling a product or whatever, the price of that product doesn't move very much. You know, there's not much wiggle room there. You know, I mean, you can increase prices, but there's not much room there either, because you're going to lose your clientele if you increase those prices too much. So the space that you have the most room movement is your labor costs. And that was one of the things that we was forced to monitor really closely. And it was a thing that we weren't allowed to get out of control. It would affect our bonuses. It would affect our pay if we didn't manage the labor good enough. And if we managed the labor really well, then we would get more money. Okay, so it's really simple. You know, it's like we could talk about slavery. Like if you didn't have to pay people, if you didn't have to pay your employees, how much, if you own a company and you have employees and you don't have to pay them anything other than like enough for them to get back and forth to work and like some food so they can have energy to do the job, you know, how much money would you be making if you didn't have to pay your employees? Your labor is a huge part of your cost of doing business. So take that part out and you're like almost all profit. Huge profit margin.